I think it's important to read out the full section here with regards to Amendment 20. This is an extremely important part of this legislation. It is the most controversial part of this legislation. It is a part of legislation which most people in this chamber have difficulty with. And it is the part of this legislation which I feel will have the biggest negative effect on those who can least afford it. And the section is, in this section, remuneration means consideration, whether in cash or in kind, which a worker receives from his or her employer in respect to his or her employment, and the important words are, but does not include A, pay or time off for work in lieu of public holidays, B, compensation under Section 14 of the Organisation of Working Time Act 1997 resulting from the requirement to work on a Sunday, C, payments in lieu of notice, or D, payments referable to the worker's redundancy. So we're deleting, in actual fact, from the workers these particular rights which they were afforded in the past. And, you know, as we've said here many a time from the start of this debate, when I launched my own piece of legislation on this last July, that the efforts necessary were there to help those who can least afford it. Now, typically on Sundays, the people who are involved in those types of work are typically part-time workers, and they're typically women who are, as my colleague here on this side has stated earlier, who are trying to buttress the family wage with a few extra euros. It's also a very difficult time for these people to work because it means taking them out of their family time and family life. And it's a group of individuals who we bump into and we meet on a regular basis ourselves. And the difficulty is I would have here is, you know, that these individuals, you know, TDs, ministers, and even, you know, advisors on very large wages will sit in the comfortable seats of restaurants on a Sunday and will be served politely and efficiently by individuals who they have just reduced their wages. And when I did my work on the previous piece of legislation, we worked very closely with unions, and it was this issue that they found the greatest difficulty with. And, you know, I would ask the Minister to ensure we don't take an economic floor out from under these people and their families. That's, you know, and I know the Minister is going to probably respond, and a member in the select committee, and I have just some of the details here with regards the response. And it said that the proposed code talks about working towards a code which will resolve this issue into the future. Now, first of all, given the view as legislators, we shouldn't be putting off issues that need to be resolved now off to the future for a start, because we may not be able to do it in the future. And I'm told that the proposed code will provide guidance to employers, employees and their representatives in sections covered by EROs or arrangements that may be put into place to comply with options, etc. So from what I can see, and my understanding of this is, we've been asked to accept this reduction in the livelihood of those who can least afford it, on a promise that sometime in the future, something will be put together which will be a code, a guideline, if you like, to try and safeguard these people's wages. Now, these people's wages have already reduced in the intervening times between the judgment and the stage we're at the moment. And I understand also that there are pressures on small businesses, that there are small businesses who find it difficult to open on a Sunday, and that there are opportunities to, I suppose, offer more business and services to tourists and even to ourselves, the native Irish, on Sundays, etc. But my request here, since I became elected, was when we looked for cost reductions for businesses, when we look for efficiencies for businesses, that we would look every single place else first before we look in the pocket of those who are poor. As simple as that. That we leave no stone unturned. Now, there's upward-only rents which are closing businesses day in and day out in this state. There are rates that are set that affect the large in multinationals in exactly the same way as the small family corner business that is teetering on the edge. There's insurance costs which are savaging small businesses. There's energy costs which are making it very, very difficult to small businesses. There are regulatory costs. You know, instead of having one door and one pathway dealing with enforcement and regulation of small business, a small business could have a plethora of letters falling on its desk asking it to look into roughly the same things. And the dealing with those regulations is very difficult. So there are many stones, there are many places where this chamber can go to find the efficiencies and the cost savings that these small business need before it takes the euros out of the pockets of these, the working poor in the state. And that's why I really, really request that the Minister thinks long and hard before he pushes this through.